with us. June is a lot of things. We know June for many things in the year, but it's also Pride Month, TT, and all over the world. And it gets underway on Friday until July 25th. Pride celebrations have grown in Trinidad and Tobago since official commemorations began in 2018. That's 4 years ago. Joining us to give us details on the launch and the theme of this year's observance and what we can look forward to are Rudolph Hanamji, who's the co-founder and co-chair of PrideTT, along with Brandy Rodriguez, who's the founder of TNT Trans Coalition and trustee of PrideTT. Good morning and welcome to you both, Rudolph and Brandy.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Rudolph, tell us what you have in store for this year and what the theme speaks to in this 4th year of Pride celebrations in this country.
Wow, Ardeen. Good morning again to your listeners. The theme is powHER, the play on HER, because this year we thought it was very important, especially with what is still happening with our women in society, to put a spotlight on the LGBT women and their contribution to Trinidad and Tobago and, of course, the Pride movement, because Pride began as a protest, which was, and Brandy could speak to this, which was originated by the trans women in North America. And we wanted to pay homage to that and, as I said, really continue the conversation about how as a society we can remove misogyny and the patriarchy and break down homophobia and all of the things that see the feminine as less than, and therefore anything that is not seen to be the archetype of what is masculine and feminine is odd and out of place. So that's what the theme is about. And we have over 30 events, all virtual this year, fortunately or unfortunately because of COVID-19. And they include some of the run-of-the-mill events that people are accustomed to, like workshops, but also our Irie art exhibit, our film festival, and we're having a vaccinade as opposed to a parade this year to encourage persons from the community to get vaccinated to assist with the COVID-19 pandemic management.
I'd love to hear more about the vaccinade program.
So what we're really focused on is that people in marginalized communities, Ardeen, as you could appreciate, are many times, if not all times, they are more impacted by travesties and disasters and illness than the rest of us in society. So what we decided is people sometimes confuse Pride with just the parade because, of course, that's the big celebration at the end and people see that and it's very public. But what Pride is really all about is mobilizing a community to ensure that they're more empowered and that they're more protected. And therefore, we wanted to use Pride. Every event, we're going to be speaking with the community, and we're actually hosting an entire health fair on July 3rd, where we're going to remove myths about COVID-19 and the vaccines and encourage people to turn out and be brave and to participate in the government's vaccine drive. So we're in talks with the Ministry of Health so that on the last day of Pride, which is the 25th of July, as you said, instead of having a parade in the streets, we're going to try and mobilize and coordinate to get as many people to the vaccination sites and have them have at least their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. So that's what it's really about. And again, a focus on women and vulnerable women in particular.
That's fantastic. Brandy, tell us how you have found the voices of trans women and men have been privileged. To what extent you feel they've been privileged through this commemoration of Pride Month in Trinidad and Tobago over the past 3 years?
Actually, that's a
Brandy?
fantastic question. I think there has been increasing visibility and increasing support through this collaboration and venture with PrideTT because the Trinidad and Tobago Transgender Coalition has a lot more visibility and more stakeholders has reached out to us in terms of understanding the needs of trans women and trans men and understanding the violations and the stigma and discrimination that trans persons faces every day because trans people have been here for a long time, but it's only recent we started to get, the support and understanding, from the policymakers and government and different stakeholders. So all of this came into with the interventions and the visibility that PrideTT had introduced to us, that our platform has increases had increased from HIV to migrants to sex workers to LGBTI and different other spaces, because we met people in different spaces who identify to be trans people, non-binary and non-gender conforming persons.
And Brandy, given the theme of this year's commemoration and celebration, powHER, is there, you think, a need to pay particular emphasis on and attention to the trans women community in particular? Do you observe or see disparities between how trans men and women are treated at all?
Yes, there's a great disconnection, because, as I said, the violence that persons faces makes you more vulnerable and you're already marginalized. And, you know, I think trans men, they don't have it just as easier. They have the same stigma and discriminations because the gender identity marks that is on our national IDs has created a lot of disturbances in terms of access to employment, justice, education, and, you know, a lot of things that belongs to us as human beings. Our rights has been defied because of the sensitivity or the lack of education in terms of gender and gender identity, sexual orientation. So I think that's the disconnection there, and we need to have more support and education where this is concerned.
Thank you, Brandy. Rudolph, given that, you know, Pride Month is really about celebrating the community, taking pride, of course, in the LGBTI community, I'm wondering, have you had a lot of traction with non-members of the community among the heteronormative spaces that exist and perhaps, let's say, dominate the society still in so many ways? Have you noticed increasing interest from those members of the community? And do you feel like you're winning over folks who maybe were a lot more reticent, hesitant, or even against the acknowledgement and of the validity of the LGBTI community?
Dean, again, another fantastic question, because it really allows us to put the spotlight on allyship and how important that is. I mean, that's part of why we focused on women, because women in society have faced a lot of tribulation at the hands of the patriarchy. And still in today's world, there's inequity amongst just women, cisgender women by themselves. And they have been our ultimate first partners and allies in this struggle, because they understood some of the things that we were going through and vice versa. But over the years, yes, there has been a definite increase in the number of hetero cisgender persons who come forward. Many times on social media, for example, they are the more fervent defenders of the community, because they use their privilege and they use their ability to stand with us and to make sense and to have arguments and debates with other cis hetero persons who may be more prejudiced or biased. And therefore, they add credibility to the movement, and they extend an olive branch at times that is so critical in swaying the minds of those who are yet to come around. But most importantly, in the religious community, many persons in the LGBTQI community are persons of faith. And this year, we're continuing from last year. We're actually having a representative from each of the major religions to host an interreligious service. And they themselves are speaking out and correcting some of the misperceptions and the prejudices that other religious leaders have perpetuated over time. So yes, the allies are coming forward, and we really appreciate them, and we stand with them in their own struggles as well, especially at this time during COVID-19, when everyone is being impacted economically, socially, mentally. So as one country, we have to stand with each other and recognize that we all contribute to this beautiful island, and we all have to continue to do so if we are going to be successful and survive these tribulations.
Thank you so very much, Rudolph and Brandy, for sharing with us this morning. We have all the information up on the screen so that folks have been able to, they know how to get in touch with you all and to take part. And we want to thank all of our guests this morning.